I'm Not in Love by 10cc is one of the most distinctive sounding records in the history of popular music. And it wasn't just the song itself that's unique, it's the groundbreaking production behind it. Now, they didn't use typical instruments. In fact, the entire song was built on voices, hundreds of them. The band had this radical idea to construct a backing track of just vocal ah loops. They recorded 12 notes, a chromatic scale from which they would later play the chords with, but for each note, the three vocalists sang the ahs in unison. Now, if you go to the very beginning of the multi-track, there's a fragment of what one of these vocal loops sounds like. The blip that you hear is the splice, where they cut the tape and join the ends together to create an infinite loop of that vocal note. And this wasn't quite the ethereal sound that they were after. So they did this process 15 more times for 16 different vocal loops, which they then recorded on for 8 minutes onto each of a 16-track machine. And the thought was maybe that would diffuse the blips on all of the loops, and it did, and it sounds like this. This whole process was done 12 times, one for each note of the chromatic scale, and this was confirmed by the band themselves in a Tape Op magazine interview, and it took them weeks of meticulous work just to get the choir that they wanted. The next step was taking that 16-track machine, which had all of the loops playing the single note, and recording that onto one track of the master 24-track machine, essentially turning one fader into a single note. And they did this whole process 12 times, one for each note of the chromatic scale. Now, once they had all of the notes recorded on the 24-track machine, they could hit play, and by moving the faders in the right combinations, they could create the chord changes of the song in real time, essentially turning the mixing console into a musical instrument. Now, there's one last detail about this vocal choir which is subtle but important, and it's that the faders of each one of those notes never went to complete silence. That at any given time, there was this low-level vocal wash atmospheric sound of those voices playing, and you can especially hear it a bit in the very intro of the song.